Welcome to the show, episode 6. Really fun podcast we had last week, and but about this episode, really excited who we have here as our guest. A really good friend of mine who I've known for quite some time now. She, fellow Sam Houston grad as well, now at UHCL, getting her master's in marriage and family therapy and clinical and applied sciences. So Corey, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are y'all? Thank y'all for having me. This is great.
Yeah, thank you for coming out. First female guest we have on the podcast. So.
First female guest. Yes.
Oh.
And I actually received some feedback from that because my girlfriend, she listens to the podcast and she's like, I've noticed you guys only had guys on. I was like, well, hold on, we're working on it. We have our first female guest coming in this week, and she was really interested to see how the dynamic goes. You know,
of course. And actually, we
might be mansplaining sometimes. I'm kidding.
Honestly, some podcasts, I'm like,
But I don't know. I feel like we're very inclusive, right? I mean,
we try to be.
It is.
Try to keep it real, of course, but
none of us are traditional Mexican guys. No. You know, where we're like, machistas really. You know how like most Mexican
man,
old school.
It's like machismo.
Machismo, yeah, like old school parents, Mexican parents that tend to be very like. Keep their wife in the
inner spot type deal.
Part of that transition that you mentioned last time, bro. Transitioning.
Yes, the transitioning of our society or social, or like just our culture in general. You know, just learning more and being more aware of what's going on in the world. Right?
Definitely. Of course. And I know, is that something that you are currently ever studying, or is it around your field? About how men are like have that trait, or especially in the Mexican culture, or maybe just the Hispanic or Spanish culture. Is it something that you studied before or going over anything like that?
So it's interesting that you actually asked because I'm taking a cross-culture class now, and a lot of it has to do with understanding your own culture, along with other cultures that are non-privileged. So let's be clear here. It's white privilege.
Okay.
Supremacy.
Okay.
Just demographically. But yeah, I think it has a lot to do with how society and world culture is transitioning. And it's interesting that y'all say machismo because it's very, very predominant in the Hispanic culture. In other cultures, it looks like patriarchy, right? Where the man is the breadwinner, the woman has to ask the man, and the man gives permission. And so I think it definitely is this culture change, and I think it's interesting because a lot of, especially women my age, that's a big thing that we're kind of battling right now, is changing from that cultural belief and transitioning into our own relationships and being okay with not wanting to do that, or being okay with searching for something that might not be patriarchy. And men also trying to find this balance between patriarchy and matriarchy, which is the woman in charge. Okay. So I think it's so interesting.
That's some heat right there.
Yeah. Yes, bro. Also, I was reading I'm reading a book about, it's called 10 Reasons to Delete Your Social Media. But towards the end of the book, this person was talking about like how in the Middle East they're very that's against women. I feel like, well, they are. He was talking about it in the book, and he was saying how in Saudi Arabia they actually gave a robot, right, that's controlled by I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Sophia. It's like this robot girl.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay. Well, they gave her citizenship. Yeah, over there, right? And he's saying that they did that on purpose because they don't even give women as many rights as they're giving that robot to women, and they do it on purpose so the women can see that they're below robots and artificial intelligence. So I was like, dang, that's so crazy. Ridiculous how deep that is in humans, you know?
Yeah, I think that's definitely deep, and that's where a lot of we're seeing like a lot of this political tension is where America or United States believes that perspective is wrong, and so we're coming in with our own values, and that's where a lot of third world countries are not liking the United States because we're as they say, we're imposing our political beliefs. Because like you said, that's their beliefs over there. And I think it's just so interesting that you know, that's happening.
Yeah, I remember like a few years ago they had a big like celebratory thing for women over there because women were finally allowed to drive, and that was like a big thing. They were like celebrating because they could finally get licenses to drive and buy a car or stuff like that. And I was just like, dude, it's like 2018. Like, what? That's still happening around the world like that, which is I don't know. It was just super surprisingly.
I mean, even here in the United States, it's the pro-life against pro-choice.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Politics, man. Like you said, and they're trying to push the feminist movement back by pushing the pro-life. It's politicians, man.
That was a big thing that happened during the vice presidency debate that happened just yesterday on Wednesday. Yeah, they were talking about pro-life and pro-choice or whatever, and it's so weird how that gets politicized, right? And like, obviously I'm for like a pro-choice. Pro-choice, yeah, and But it's funny how like you have to be either on this side or that side for certain things. Like I don't like that about politics here. That things that
you gotta pick a side.
Yeah, you gotta pick a side, and you can't have like you can't be for pro-choice or like pro climate change. Yeah. You know, like because then you're against one party or whatever. But I mean, did you watch the debate?
I did. I actually watched maybe about 45 minutes. I'll be honest, about an hour.
Yeah, I watched the very end of it.
It's the debate. It's so weird to watch because it's like, what are y'all debating? In a sense, I don't hear real.
I feel like
facts.
in a way, of course, they're debating, but I think they're just trying to shame each other and trying to see who can score more points. And then afterwards, they treat it like they know us Americans, we love games, like NBA Finals, whatever it is. They treat it as a game now. When it's over, you can catch the post-game show on CNN, Fox News, ABC, and they'll literally have different people coming in, like analysts and experts, and say, "Oh, this person really hit on this point," and then but then they got him here. Like it's like a touchdown and an interception. It's just a game now to these people, and is it really about what's doing best for Americans? I feel like either party his main focus is not to do what's best for all Americans, but just more for the party and what that party believes. So it's crazy. I mean, I've talked about it many times earlier in this podcast. I feel like things will change drastically in the next, in our lifetime of how the current structure is, because COVID exposed how it's a failing structure. It doesn't work. We see how other countries have gotten out of it. They are back now functioning. They approach it differently, and we see how us as Americans, fundamentally in our culture, refused to listen when the scientists said, "Hey, this is the science," so we call it a hoax. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And now the president got it, so these people now say get better. Yep. So but at one point they didn't believe it or whatever it is, but it's just crazy. Tribalism, us against them.
Yeah, I saw the video they shared with the conservatives saying, "Well, I'm not a sheep, so I don't wear masks." Dude, what was it? How they go from pro? Oh, okay. They said, so you're pro-life, and he said, yeah, and then
so explain what's happening in the video though, because you're just going off of random.
Because he's hype.
I'm hype, bro. I've been hype all day.
You haven't explained it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh man.
So basically, there's a video that I saw on TikTok, right? I just shared it, and he saw it. But the whole video is that they're at a Trump rally, right? Nobody's wearing masks, and this guy, he goes up to him and he's like, "Hey, are you pro-life or pro-choice?" He's like, "I'm pro-life." He's like, "Oh, okay, so you care about people living, right?" He's like, "Yeah." So why are you wearing a mask? He's like, I'm not a sheep, I'm a lion. He's like,
I'm a wolf, bro.
So you're not gonna wear a mask just because all these people around you are not wearing? He's like, yeah, we're all not wearing. So we're all not wearing, and I'm not a sheep, crazy. I'm a lion. So you're listening to you're doing what everybody else
sheep
is doing.
lions over there.
Yeah. He's like, so you're doing what everybody else is doing, but you're not a sheep. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, wow, dude.
Damn.
But anyways, yeah.
That's crazy. But let's get back to what we were talking about, like the patriarchy, machismo. And it's also what I find interesting in just the names, right? Because machismo has such a negative connotation to it, right? Like it's just an ugly word. Well, for me, I know it is because I know where it represents. I've seen it firsthand. But patriarchy, it didn't have, not just me personally, it doesn't have that same ring. Does that make sense? Or using the same I don't know. For me, it's just different. But you shake your head. What are you thinking?
I can see where you're saying. Is there a coincidence that patriarchy sounds like patriot?
Mm-hmm. So it's just like right off the because if somebody doesn't know that word, it's a way, man. It's a crazy manipulation, even in the names. How they name certain things.
And I think it's also the language of Spanish. Everything is either feminine or masculine. Whereas in the English language, there's more complex vowels that doesn't really pertain to those rules in a sense. But I definitely can see where you're saying. What do y'all think about that Latinx culture? They're getting rid of the feminine and masculinity at the end of these Spanish terms to make it more gender neutral.
Honestly, like myself, when one day I just realized that was a thing, and like it's crazy. I'm like, dude, I've been Mexican my whole life. How did I not know about this? Like, I'm not really even informed really like what Latinx stands for. Like when someone says, "Oh, I'm Latinx," I'm like, but I don't know, man. I mean, I guess for me, because those probably people are Mexican American. For me, I'm just Mexican. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I don't really understand it. But do you have more insight on that?
Well, can you explain it for our viewers?
Yeah. So we don't have to get into this debate, or even the topic. But it's more so doesn't stem. It stems from more LGBTQ community. For equality, of course, for all persons who identify as what they wish. But it kind of stems from, in the Spanish culture, you have the O and the A, right? And then A being anything really feminine, O being anything masculine. A lot of women kind of coming from like the feminist approach, they view all of that as oppression towards women. And really oppression towards anybody whom doesn't identify within either A or O, so any feminine or
and is that mostly here in the United States, or is that being also, do you know if it might also be happening in Mexico, as in like they're feeling like they don't want to use the A and the O, I think, right? Yeah.
So it's actually, that's a very good question, because I don't even know. Latinx, I think, has just came out this 20th century, like maybe a couple
Something
years
I feel like
ago.
It's very recent.
It's
that's why
very recent, very recent.
The feminist movement is huge in Mexico. And
really?
Yeah, it's huge.
Actually it is. I saw some stuff about that. It was really crazy.
But like you said, the machismo, it's just like, nah, they're stupid. Why are they out on the streets? Why are they even doing that to the building? You should protest, but a peaceful protest. It always comes down to you should do a peaceful protest. And I mean, throughout history, history has never been changed by a peaceful protest.
Not that I know of.
It's always like, hey, either because you get tired of, hey, you know what, asking for a respect or for equal rights. There's gonna be that moment in your life where you just gotta like the Black Lives Matter. They just went out to the streets and they protested it, but it wasn't the peaceful protest that the conservatives or the right side wanted.
Yeah.
What do you think about so there's this professor in Canada, I think his name is Brett Weinstein, and he was talking about how he had like a student, right, that he didn't
from academia. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's an academic. He's a professor, and he was talking about how some students wanted them to call them a shem, like it's a she and a him, right? But he didn't know what he was yet, so he wanted to just prefer shem, right? And he said, "I'm not gonna call you that because shem is not a word." And then he sent out an email that like, don't be making up words or something like that. And then he got like a whole like backlash. People wanted him to get fired, get canceled, all of this stuff. But he was saying like, I mean, I'll call you a her or him or whatever you want, right? But like, if we get to a point where we're just making up words, like, I don't think that's the correct way to go about it, because then where do you draw the line, right? Where people just start making up words that are not even like about that. What do you think about that kind of stuff?
So that's a very loaded question, especially
for
mental health practitioner, and for any like professional that works in that field would have a lot of difficulty answering that. I can see why he had backlash, So anyone who's transitioning from any gender to whichever, however they want to be identified as, there's a lot of anxiety and their own personal battles within that. Anyways, but with the terms, it's really a ability to choose for myself what I wish to identify as, not what you believe I am to be and what you believe these constructs to be. So female, male, yes, they come from biological aspects of us, but everything we've worded is a construct. Everything like a cup. We all agree that if something is circular, it's deep, and it holds something, we agree to call it a cup. Anything with the female anatomy or anything with the male anatomy, we agree to call it male and female. And so those who are having feelings that they don't fit either of them, that's where that ability to call myself what I wish to call myself is where that freedom comes from.
Gotcha.
And it's the respect of it. So I can see why that professor got a lot of backlash. But on the opposing side of that argument, or that idea, comes those type of questions. Is okay, if we give this free range, where exactly is this line, and where should we draw it? So there's a lot of debate. But I am pro choosing for what you want to be.
So am I. And just because as an individual, it's never gonna affect me. So I have no problem ever addressing you as and respecting you as you wish to be, whomever that is, right? But to a sense, I get his point. Brett Weinstein, like, where do you draw the line? I understand, but I don't think that's a battle worth fighting for him. It's just
a hill like the hill willing to die for about a word.
Well, yeah, or just upset somebody about when you can just easily call them, or, name them by what they wish to be, referred as.
He wanted to make like a whole point of it, but the fact that they immediately, instead of arguing or being intellectual and having a discussion about it, right? They immediately went to fire him and cancel him. Yeah. So they didn't even.
That's the ugly part about, I feel now.
That's happening in colleges.
Yeah. Well, it's just progressiveness, which I am all for. As I talk about in every podcast, I have girls. So for me, I'm so okay with having 2 girls because I understand they're not living in the machismo world. When they're 20, when they're in 20 years from now, they will even have more like, I feel women are somewhat equal now. I guess the field that I have in sales is all about performance. So there's a lot of women who I've seen who have done it extremely well. And, male and female doesn't matter because both can get the job done. And so, I see that world that we're going to, and it makes me excited that when someone's like, man, don't you want a boy? I'm like, no, I'm good, because I know my girls are not going to be, systematically oppressed anymore. They're getting more opportunity. And it's now just up to me to make sure they have that opportunity, right? But yeah,
it's a slow growth, very slow growth. It's still happening though. Glass ceilings on women, professions that you think a man may be doing better. It's still happening. Even I was just having this talk with one of my colleagues. The idea of a woman going to work, and one of her rules being, for makeup, tone it down. And it's this idea of, because I'm a woman, I can't wear the lashes I want to wear. I can't wear the eyeshadow I want to wear. But as a man, you can do XYZ. But even men are having where you have to have a type of beard, right, in the professional world and stuff. Well, but it's just microaggressions like that, towards women where men don't have it. It's interesting. It's and those are the little things that are still progressing towards growth.
I feel like maybe I just have a certain bias because I really have worked for 2 great companies that are very progressive. Both of them have been named top 50 companies to work for women. Because they're all about maternity leave, all that stuff. You get all that full. So maybe that's why I have a certain bias, but I'm sure it's going on in other workplaces and other industries, right?
Usually we're pretty blind to our privilege.
Yeah.
If we're privileged, we are pretty blind to it.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So for 3 men, sometimes, you know,
Yeah.
it's hard to grasp some of those
You know,
things as
and
a
that's so
woman.
cool. And that's honestly really why it's so cool that we have you on here. Be like with your perspective, but also like with your credibility. But most importantly, your perspective, because like you can see it right now, right? Like you clearly, the way you're speaking, like you have a different perspective because of that's what you live, and something we can never be or truly understand to the 100% that you live every day. So it's really so cool, you know, just hearing that, right? Because we're in a way we are blind to our privilege because we're our males, you know, we're here. So cool for sure.
It's interesting. It's very mind blowing when you get into it.
Yeah.
But
And like I've seen like a lot of it is crazy because like I've seen like a lot of like I watch a lot of Joe Rogan, right? And I mean listen and watch, I guess both. And he always has like a lot of people on there that are like he's like obviously he's like super progressive, like he cares about women and all that stuff.
Oh, of course.
But then he also talks about how it's also weird how women like can wear like I guess like dresses or skirts to work or whatever, you know. Like not obviously not like super short skirts or whatever, but like if guys showed up in shorts to like a professional workplace, they'll be like, wait, what the heck? Why you're wearing that? You know. But I don't know. I was just like how he just talks about it, but obviously like there's obviously more stuff against women than there is towards men. Like still, you know, like being promoted and all that stuff. You tend to see like mostly men get like higher pay or whatever, but like it's just stuff that I've like picked up or
for sure.
the way.
But I think we can all agree though that I think things are moving in the right direction. I would say it's moving in the right direction. It's not like there's something that's kind of fighting that. I feel like if anything, for the most part, not completely, but mostly everybody can agree that women should. I mean, as we're going like to equality and same outlook. Maybe, I mean, we'll get there, like you say, slowly, but I think it's at least an effort that, as a whole society, is one of the few things we kind of agree on. Not in every single detail of it, but generally, I feel.
I would say yes. I would tread lightly on that yes, though, because even though in some aspects, like in the workforce, maybe some growth, but a big topic, especially for women, is in the household growth. Equality within the household, the duties and chores of a woman versus duties and chores of a man, and these unspoken rules that as women we have to abide by, especially, and then that goes into the machismos type thing, right? How many of us grew up with the mom making sure dad had XYZ on the table at XY time, you know, or if we didn't have that, a dad, right? Our moms were breaking their backs to do all these things in a machismo world, and so I think that's the next point of view is to be like to assess woman equality in the household.
And that's crazy because like whenever this election was coming up, I was really a big fan of Andrew Yang. You're right, because I feel like he had like a lot of good ideas and good topics that he wanted to bring up, and he was also talking about the women household and how this country really does not value that at all. Like does not, like men get paid to go to work, come home, and they just chill, right? And the women that are, because there's a lot of stay-at-home moms, right? And he was proposing like to give everybody $1,000, because he was for universal basic income where everybody gets an extra $1,000, and he was feeling that we needed to do that because there's a lot of women that stay at home and all their time in work gets like unrecognized and not value at all. Like that's zero value for everybody. And he was saying how that's not the case because he has 2 kids that are like really young, and he sees how much his wife has to do for him to be out there running for president and all that stuff that he was doing. So
it's a chore, man. It's a chore.
Especially you have kids, huh?
Yeah. Look, my marriage dynamic is so great. It's so funny and crazy because I have been working, of course, since the pandemic. I work from home. I'm going on 7 months working from home. So, like, you know, I go in a room, like, I mean, about the size of this, right? I have my desk. I have everything set up. I have my whiteboard. That's where I go to work. But I've been with my kids for, 7 months. Well, then Alexia came, and then, Alexia for 4 months. She just turned 4 months yesterday. Shout out Alexia. Yeah. But I see what it takes to do all that. I mean, I'm not just by myself taking care of my kids and working, but like my grandma comes over and she babysits my kids. So it's that's really cool. But I mean, I'm still there. I'm still like attentive. I'm still changing diapers. I'm still doing this and that. So I feel like it gives me a good perspective. You know, and I feel like I'm very fair. You know, like I'm never taking advantage of my wife. I feel like I always try to think of like her perspective and what's important to her, and so make that important to me. You know, and I'm not perfect, because I'm not, but I really do try in that aspect, just because like it was such a big point to me to not be machista. Like it was just like, it was like an objective of mine. Like when I got married, I was not gonna be that way. Like it was something I constantly reminded myself and checked myself with it.
So if you can quantify that, right? What values did you uphold to say, I'm not doing this machismo stuff. This is how I'm gonna do it by X, Y, Z. What were those things?
Well, really, like, I mean, it's not like they were. I mean, it gets something what was, but it was just I feel like I didn't really grow up seeing like in a way to like what I want to be now. Like I saw what I didn't want to be, so I just didn't become that. You know, I didn't want to be machista. I didn't want to be like, you know, like the man runs it here, you know, because I do this. So I try to be fair in every aspect, and I'm constantly trying to get better at it still. You know, I'm young. You know, it's still like I'm still sharpening myself, but I feel like I do a good job at it because I just care. You know, I just try not to just be about me, be about my wife, because I just feel like if we're both happy, if she's loving me and I'm loving her, then my kids are always gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? A healthy marriage, and then your kids will see that. And if y'all see my social media, if y'all were around my kids, which one day I will be, dude, I have some happy ass kids. Like my kids are the happy. Not the happy. I think they're the happiest kids. Like my little girl Alexia, she just turned 4 months. All I have to do is say her name, or say good morning to her, and she's literally all smiles. Rosie's the same. Like we chase each other around the house. That's where I am with Rosie. We're chasing each other, playing hide and seek and stuff. But I mean all that stuff. So just making a conscious effort. You know what I'm saying?
That's good. Well, it seems like you've moved from like this machismo standpoint to what we would call egalitarian couple. So that's a type of relationship dynamic where you have equal power amongst them. So that's definitely a thing. So congrats to that. That's
for sure. I'm not perfect with that, but I'm just trying to get better and just try to be that. Especially like I said, because I don't want my girls to eventually see somebody who's just like, you know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna look for someone like similar like me. So I don't want them to see me like being ugly, because then they're gonna accept that when they're older. So I try to just be a good role model for them too.
Now going to the other side of this, there's a lot of abuse that us, because of the machismo, abuse towards males in certain households, where women literally beat up it's complete.
It's so ugly,
opposite.
but it's actually a real thing.
Yeah, and they're like, oh no, that's not true. I mean, like the woman beating up the man. I mean, dude, just man up. And now, I was
just man up.
Yeah,
think about that.
Yeah, they're like, dude, just man up. Like that's crazy. It's not real. But I mean, it's 100% real. And a lot of men are scared to actually come out because of the machismo.
The embarrassment. The embarrassment. Ridicule him. Real. Yeah.
What do y'all think about that?
I think that's real. That can 100% happen. It's so ugly, and I feel for the male is just like he's fighting his own battle. It's like, I can't come out and just say this. Like, my wife's beating my ass. As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds
funny. Not cool though.
It sounds funny in a way, but it's not funny at all.
Not cool, man. Yeah, bro. If that's happening, you gotta get out of that relationship.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You have to get out of that relationship.
Any toxic relationship. Yeah. Is just
once something like that breaks that threshold, then it's just like that's a whole different level. You know, something that you just don't do for either party, really. You know what I'm saying?
And it's crazy how a lot of people ignore the primary steps of their relationship going towards that point. If your boyfriend or girlfriend starts throwing stuff around the house, and people ignore it, and those are the first steps to toxic relationships.
Yeah, is that something that you also study or like? certain patterns or anything like that?
Yeah, so because I'm marriage and family therapy, so I have taken a couple of couples and sex class and then some family therapy classes. But I think it's interesting that when you say, especially in the machismo world, there is women who do that, right? Very drastic mood swings, gonna get very verbal and physical very quick. And just like in America, we have domestic violence, right? We know, all of us collectively, women do that to men, and everyone in this country kind of knows that. But, you know, when you go to the machismo culture, Mexican culture, there's this big stigma of man up. And it causes a lot of men to end up becoming shameful, guilty, angry, and then repressed. But I think it's stigma. It's stigma revolving around that. And statistics will tell you that it's always men, but like we know it's women as well. But statistics doesn't really reflect that because those men aren't coming out and reporting. They're not reporting.
Exactly.
And so it's really hard when we don't have statistics and numbers. You don't know what exactly to pinpoint unless you go into that household or you do community talks like this where you can start bringing those awarenesses alive and missing those crucial steps towards a toxic relationship, because mostly those domestic violent relationships, they're grown because they've seen someone do it. They've seen parents do it. They think that's how you relate, and they think that's how you create a relationship is through that type of toxic interactions.
Yeah.
So you're going to school right now for like to become a family therapist? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so it's for my license in marriage and family therapy. So it's just a label. But my theories kind of based on systemic thinking, right? It's this idea where in psychology, it's still psychology science. But a lot of typical psychologists, when they see you, they're going to think, what's wrong with you? What's been happening to you? In my field, we are going to see it is when you come to us, or if you come and see us, I'm going to think, how did your friend, or how did your boyfriend, or how did your spouse, or how does your grandparents, what they did to you, how did that affect you, and how did that make you come here? So
like coming from like a previous incident that's deep rooted more than just like straight up like that happened like we got in a fight yesterday and that's what caused it. No, it's something that's much more deeper than just okay.
So this idea of, have you ever heard 1 + 1 = 3?
No, please enlighten us.
Yeah. Okay, so it's kind of like in physics, right? When you get two atoms, you put them together, you create a whole different thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Something like that.
Right.
Something like
Something
that.
like
For
that.
sure. Chemistry, physics was in my heart. I was in the
not good
business
at
world.
science.
Yeah.
2 atoms equals 1 nucleus. Of course.
Yes, something like that.
And
Don't
the
fact
same,
check us,
We all knew
Twitter.
that.
Twitter's
and
gonna
the
cancel us now.
And the same idea with the car, right? You have a
Yes.
tire, you have a steering wheel, and you have an engine. By themselves, they are those things.
Yeah.
Together, they
They
are a
make-
car.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this idea of one isolated thing plus one other isolated thing. If you put them together, they're going to create different thing. So you with your wife, you are Noe, she is her, but together you are a relationship. The relationship is a whole different person that is in the room, right?
Of course.
Yes,
So the
I
idea.
get it.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
Dude, her point about studying the history of the family, right? Takes me back to Lawrence saying how you can't understand the present without understanding the past.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just crazy how everything matches. I don't know. It's
It's
just.
so
gotta study
important,
the
man.
past, right?
I don't know if you
What-
saw that podcast, but he was talking about that.
I did see that.
Yeah,
So when he
yeah.
said that, I was like, yes,
Yes.
preach.
Shout out
Um,
Lawrence, man.
Shout out.
Appreciate it.
In that in those classes, are you guys going over anything with, like, just out of curiosity? I don't know if you are or not, but like about like social media, like how that might be maybe separating the family some, where like whenever you're supposed to like have time to talk with your kids or time to talk with your wife, you decide to go on TikTok and scroll or something.
So it's actually every science is baffled by this increase of technology. Every foundational science, psychology, any type of therapist, we're trying to battle this.
Yeah, if I can say a little
this
side note
thing.
to that, it's because it's just evolving too quickly to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way how far have come in the last 20 years, where technology is like we're already what's it called, cyborgs. You know, our phone is as much as us as we are of us. Nothing knows more about me than my phone, literally. So it's crazy. So it's just something that like these sciences that take time to study and develop and understand just can't keep up with the ever changing. Because TikTok, was it around 2 years ago?
No.
Now it's the biggest wave right now. I mean, I'm not on it or anything like that. Because I don't need. I know I'm at the point where I don't need something else. You know.
It's crazy because now we're at this point as a bunch of scientists applied in clinical health, but we're now saying, you know what? Don't even fight the fight that you're gonna lose. We need to now learn how to manage.
Yeah.
Learn how to place boundaries on things that aren't gonna go away. So a lot of people are trying to like think, how do we just take it out, take it away, take it away, take it away? It's addicting. As a society,
Literally.
we are not going to get rid of technology, and so now it's like, how can we have this and manage it and put it in our pocket and still be here but still manage that. So now it's this balance.
They actually made a phone. I might have heard it in Joe Rogan or not. It's a phone that all you could do is call and text somebody in like a calculator.
I didn't watch that episode.
Yeah.
Explain it.
I don't
So-
think you could. Well, I mean, just imagine a flip phone.
Yeah, it's just a very
Going
simple
back to,
phone.
like, the
It's just
2000s.
it's just to like not get on the.
I don't think that's possible. Not for everybody, though. You
No,
have to
no,
be
it's
really
not. And
strong
I'm
willed.
not saying. I'm definitely not saying that's a solution. I think this is just like a wildfire that's like too vast, too grand to really like calm down. Especially now because kids that are not born is all they know. It's just similar. So in the book Sapiens, which I will continue to quote because I'm still listening to it super long, when the agricultural revolution happened, people at first thought it was a great thing because now they didn't have to hunt. They can grow their crops, they can grow their food, right? But whenever they start growing their food, now they had to work harder, work longer hours, so they had to bear more children. And also they had to worry about pesticides to get in their food. They had to worry about the rain. They had to worry about this and that, which it made it actually a harder living. Hunters were still doing better. You know what I'm saying? They also ate better food. They ate lean meat. They were more active. They lived longer. They were healthier. But it got to a point, so 300 years later, where it was like those people alive, that's all they know. So like in retrospect, looking back from the present to the past, you're just like, oh, that was probably not a great thing, right? But for them, it was like, oh, it's all they knew, so they couldn't go back, right? My point with that is that similar to how these kids, we're going through a technological revolution right now, where technology is becoming part of us as much as anything else is. Where right now I can't fathom not having direct deposit, right? Swipe with my card. I rarely carry cash.
Same.
Nobody carry cash.
Same.
And now it's like these different things. Now we trust the internet. We trust Uber. We get in a car with a stranger that we find on the internet. It's becoming more and more common that our children, my children, y'all's children, when y'all have children, is going to be in a world that that's all they've known. Unless like something like in the grand scheme of things, either like a major war or like a government like really putting a ban on it. Other than that, I don't see it ever really stopping.
Yeah. Going back to the family and technology, does your study show anything, or not your study, but what you're studying to become a family therapist? Do they teach you guys about maybe like if a parent were to ask you a recommendation for when my kid should be on social media? Do you guys talk anything about that? Touch on that? Or?
I laugh because you've asked this question in multiple podcasts, social media.
It's
It's a good one. It's a good
I
one,
think
but
it's super relevant.
remember.
I think that's a great question because a lot of us our age, we're starting to have kids, have little ones, don't have any, and going to. That's definitely a battle that we're gonna all have to face eventually. But it's interesting that you ask because parents come and they want this answer. They want this handbook and just say like, this is how you're going to do it. And then you're going to 100% success. but it's really on values that the family wants to uphold. Who's in the family, right? If you have a dual income couple that's well off, they might not want their kid on social media because they want to value family time. What about the single mother with 2 jobs and the oldest son is taking care of the kids?
Yeah.
What I see a lot as well is like whenever for example, I have a few relatives that whenever they come over, right, they have they're young parents, right? I want to say like 29, 30, 31. And I feel like they don't want to deal with their kids, so that everybody has an iPad. All the kids have iPads, and they're just there sitting down on the couch, just doing anything like the.
It's so ugly, man. But I read this quote, and the perfect parents do exist. They just haven't had kids yet. I feel like until you have that battle, man, like it's just like. It's easy to say like kids have iPads, but it's just like literally a different world they live in. It's just like it's easy like it to say I don't want to deal with them kids, but it's like they have to deal with those kids. It's like
I've heard that.
There's never not dealing with the kids. But that is my perspective on it, because when I have kids, I was like, my kids are never gonna watch TV.
Yes.
It's just like no, like they got little baby bum, Coco Melon, David Abel, name them, bro. I know all them fucking songs, bro.
And then it gets to that question, like, okay, what if we are always busy and this technology kind of helps, right?
Yep.
So then it's like you start to choose what your child is allowed to participate in, to watch, to play. But I think there's a healthy balance. Now I can have my personal opinion of what I will do with my kids, right? But the general rule is like, what values do you and your household really want, and what is your ultimate goal for your children? And then it's through those you can assess is how much of this social media time or technology am I willing to let them have.
For sure.
Yeah, the reason I ask all these social media questions and technology stuff is because I'm currently trying to read this whole month, and the 2 books that I picked up that I'm first starting to read are both like around society and culture and like how social media is affecting us, and both of them kind of like, one is about society and culture, and then the other one's mostly about social media, and I feel like they're both intertwining with each other. How we're how us as a culture are like I said in a previous podcast, we're transitioning, like we're growing differently than any other generation, because one, we have technology now, and then also at the same time that technology is making us be more addictive towards them without us even knowing, a lot of people not even knowing. And
I know now, and at the moment I know now.
That's the fear that you say addicting, because when you have that instant gratification, all this dopamine is hitting.
That's how they know.
It's all dopamine, right? And then if you get enough of this routine dopamine from this gratification, you end up not learning how to create your own dopamine through other stimuli activities. Exactly. And then that's the fear around that.
And like you said, today's society, I feel like we're gonna go down in history, man. And for people to understand today's society, 2020, they're gonna have They're gonna have to mention social media for sure. Social media is playing such a big role in the elections and how we act towards each other. Because with social media, I think they mentioned it in the Social Dilemma, that you get to pick what you like and what side of the story you want to see.
Exactly.
So you get to only see that side of the story. You don't. It's not like within not even news now, because even with the news you get to pick what side of the story. But back in the day, I feel like they were more neutral.
Yeah, I mean you had 4 channels. You know? That's all.
They had to give you both sides. Now, if you only like the Republican or the Democrat,
go watch Fox News.
Yeah, so you only get to pick one side, and you only get to see one side.
So what this book was explaining, like they were touching up on that, saying that now you can choose between if you want to be completely Democrat or completely liberal, right? And then you get served all of that. But now, as social media keeps growing and growing, now it's even getting even closer. Like if you want to believe that the Earth is flat, you're gonna have that community of flat Earthers. Now, if you want to believe even crazier things like dinosaurs were fake, there's people that believe space is fake.
There's a Facebook page for it.
Yeah. There's.
You're on it.
Oh God! She started it. Space is fake.
I actually joined the Flat Earth Society on Facebook.
Oh, did
It's
you have?
fun.
You should join it. We
It's-
should we should all join a crazy Facebook page
It's fun.
and report what happens on the
No,
podcast.
but the thing is, everybody was making fun of it. There's nobody being serious about it. Like everybody in the page was like, "Y'all are fucking it." Like, dude, all of us are on the same side. We just
I feel like
joined
the
it
actual
to make
page,
fun of
like
it.
the hardcore guys, is like they have like a secret code name for the page.
Yes.
You know, like the round Earth Facebook page.
That's
completely
what,
opposite. No one
I think they're
expect the
were
flat
trying to
earthers
look
there.
at the 8 guys that got arrested for
trying to kidnap the governor of Michigan.
I think they had a private. They were trying to figure it out if it was a messenger or a Facebook page or how they were being connected, because they're not the only ones. They wanted to get, I think, 200 people involved in it. So they're
And
trying
I'm
the
to.
telling you, man,
thing-
these are Russian operatives, bro, coming in here and doing this, bro.
Russians. It's not
It-
even the Russians, bro.
No, I know that's exactly what they want you to think, bro. It's not even the Russians, man. I'm telling you, bro. It's foreign countries coming in here, man, infiltrating, spreading these ideas, and then weaponizing people, man.
Is it
Like-
radicals, man? People take.
Yeah, they're
shit
radicalizing
yeah.
people. Yeah, exactly.
And the crazy thing that I've seen from these books that I've been reading is that all of this is not even like not intentional as you might think. It's just to profit off more money and advertisement, right? So we can sit here and be like, oh, they're trying to do this and they're trying to do that, and they are doing it, but it's all just for profit, you know, to make more money.
What, the people who were trying to kidnap the governor?
No. I'm talking about Facebook, Google, all of them. All they want to do is just get you to get in
Yeah,
their
no.
fight and spread misinformation. All for what? All for money. And I remember how I told you that sometimes I just think things and I write them down on my phone.
Yeah.
Another idea that I had was like, why don't these companies just like Facebook, Instagram charge like a $5, like let's say, to use it, right? And then
It
if you
would
don't
be
want
a bad business
if you
model.
don't want to because all they want to do is gather your data, right, to make money.
Mhm.
Now, if you say I don't want to pay those $5 for my social media, why can't they have like a free with ads? You know what I mean? Like, so an ad-free marketplace, and then if you want to just be in there and give all your data and you don't really care about your data, just
How much would you pay for one social media?
Oh, I mean, isn't that already going on now?
Yeah, I mean,
What's it called? Then-
Facebook is free though.
Oh,
Well,
Facebook.
LinkedIn,
I'm
I
talking about
mean,
OnlyFans, right?
OnlyFans,
OnlyFans.
no.
Patreon.
No, I'm talking about like
OnlyFans.
if they came down to one social media and all your friends are in it, how much would you pay to stay in that social
not a
media?
damn thing.
You don't think so?
Fuck no.
So you rather society fall apart? Just
What do you mean?
well, that's what
I mean-
that's what I'm saying. You're not getting this stuff for free. You're giving away your data.
What do you mean with society's fault? I mean, well, his question was.
Yeah, my question was how much would you pay?
Yeah, I said I wouldn't pay, and
and
then you
all-
said society would fall apart. So
Well, I'm saying how we are right now in society with all this stuff that's happening. It's all because Facebook's algorithm is just trying to get you to fight, get people to get on their own conservative bubbles, and because we're not like, and nothing's free really. All those Facebook employees are not getting paid just because you're in there for free. Someone's paying for that. Someone's paying that bill for you to be on Facebook,
Ads.
on Instagram, exactly, ads, and then using that algorithm that I'm telling you that gets you in your own bubble and keeps dividing the country.
yeah,
keeps
but I
dividing
mean,
people.
if people will stop using it, like, how is that going to destroy? I mean, if anything, it will destroy that business model and people who are profiting from that. But I don't think it would destroy society. I feel like it would be healthier for people to be off of it. I mean, there's societies without this too. You know what I'm saying?
Would you pay $1 a month for Facebook without ads?
Oh yeah, I guess $1 is a good point. Okay, I'll
So
pay
you
for
would
$1.
pay.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's a good point. $1 is not as insignificant.
I mean,
What about you?
I don't know. I
He's gonna
probably
be doing all
would
those
be
questions.
$1, but it's all about, if I see all my friends doing it, I'm going to conform. The conforming bias, right? When you see enough people doing something and you feel like you're not doing the right thing, you're going to turn around and do it with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
So I probably would be, but you're right. If it's $1, there's, what is it, response risk or response cost or something
like that. I mean,
What
I
about
know
the
what you're
risk
saying.
is
Like, it's just
that
the
I
weight of
pay?
it.
What about $3 a month?
That's kind of a weird number.
Exactly.
It's
And
a
it makes
1 or
it
5,
okay.
So
bro.
imagine,
There's
okay,
no 3.
imagine
makes it fun.
Three for Facebook, 3 for Instagram, and 3 for Twitter. $9
Yeah.
a month. Would you pay that? Or
I
is that
pay
still-
$10.99 for YouTube.
I feel like,
that's
I
true.
feel like what would happen actually, like initially people probably would, boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
But then eventually people would be like,
But
I
that's-
don't want to be on this anymore. I'll get off, and then it eventually can happen. And also, it's not like it's right now. It is mostly in a monopoly. What's stopping another company from creating this whole other different thing, right? Like, remember, there used to be a MySpace. Nobody really fuck with Facebook. What if a company would just come in and be like, "Oh, hey guys, I can come over here, very similar, no payment."
Why do you think people left MySpace? MySpace was a dope.
Man,
You
I
could
have
your
the
own
greatest music.
I know.
Yeah, we were out there coding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think people left MySpace? Well, why do you think?
That's hard to say. I don't even know exactly when I left MySpace. I think when
2011?
I think it was when Instagram hit.
No, I think Facebook.
No, I think Facebook hit, and then I think just Facebook was just
I don't know if I was
a better platform at first. It just caught a wave, man. It's just similar to like more people started doing it.
It was easier. I remember that. You remember how hard MySpace was? Even though it was easy, but you had to learn the code. You had to learn how to encrypt your whole page.
Mm-hmm.
It was easy for people that were already on MySpace, but for somebody new, let's say my mom made a MySpace, she would have never figured that shit out.
Exactly. And that's all part of the business model, man. You know, like when Facebook created all that, they wanted to make it like an inclusive thing where everybody can go somewhere and have a friend.
Yeah.
You know, and even like down to the color of like what they chose, everything about it, they wanted to keep it simple. And it is what it ended up becoming. Now everybody has a Facebook.
Everybody.
That's a big thing. Simplicity. I mean, you can see it everywhere. On Google, the search bar is just search bar.
Apple.
Just your apps. That's it. No crazy stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you guys were talking about earlier that tomorrow's Mental Health Day.
Yeah, it's World Mental Health Day.
World Mental Health Day. Yeah.
World Mental
And I know
Health.
you had told us that you had worked with veterans, like helping them or something like that.
Yeah, so I do support veterans with TBI, so traumatic brain injury. And so these are typically men who have served, and a lot of them have gone through horrific bombings on their wherever they were during their employments, and so a lot of them have had numerous surgeries, frontal lobes, all kind of cut off, paralyzation and stuff like that. So I do support.
Do you do that like as a volunteer, or is it an actual job, or?
Yeah, so it's actual job. So it's a client that I support. So that's what I do on the side. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Well, shout out to them and him, right, for their service. Thank you for their service.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Is that covered by the what is it called? The veterans?
I'm not sure.
Me.
Oh my God, what's it called? Jesus Christ.
Look it up, bro.
Look it up, bro.
You got your phone.
It's like the where the veterans go to get
The VA?
The VA.
The VA, yeah. Is that covered by the VA, or is that?
So they do things. There's also this thing called the Wounded Warrior Project.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
And so basically you pay a certain amount in, you get these services back. So it's like recreational therapy, cognitive therapy.
Like I said, like I feel like we all listen a lot. Us guys, I don't know if you do listen to a lot of Joe Rogan, but I listened to a lot of Joe Rogan. This past guest he had, well, the second past guest.
Those two guys from Black
they
Rifle
were
Coffee.
military, yeah, and they were just sharing horrific stories how the VA just doesn't want to, finds any excuse just to not give them what they need, just simply because they're trying to cut the budget for the VA. So, and they were saying like a lot of the help that comes to the veterans comes from a third party.
Yeah,
Nonprofits, yeah. So that's why I was asking. Like, I wonder, like, if the VA is paying you, but not so surprised came from a nonprofit.
Yeah,
and it just like they mentioned in that podcast that certain politicians love sending people to war. They don't like paying for it. And now when these people come back and unfortunately, maybe mentally or physically come back so damaged that they're being left behind.
Yeah.
And you see that more. Something that really does break my heart is whenever you do see somebody who's like a veteran, homeless.
Yeah,
that is pretty heartbreaking.
It's
because that person, had a family at some point maybe, or went out there and fought for this country and ended up that way. I mean, no matter how I feel about American imperialism, like, anybody who goes out and serves, it's like so much respect because you're willing to go away from your family, your parents or your wife or kids or whatever, to possibility of, dying, and you kind of have to, I feel like, well, I can't speak from first, but they accept that. So it's just a super, honor. And then for them to like come back and then that happen, when you see that, it is pretty pretty destroying.
So you're saying that you help the veterans with do you help them with like dealing with stuff, or do you help them actually like help them out like physically like to do things, or what is it exactly?
So since my field is very relational in aspect, I help them out in the community. So what I do is I assist them in making that transition from, I guess you would say, quote unquote, not isolation, but trying to get them to transition into creating those communal support systems out in the community, because we're a community type of being.
Yeah.
And so the best type of medicine is support system. So my job for him in particular is connecting to those support systems and getting him to be stable enough to not need me.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So kind of like helping him like get go on his own instead of okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really needed, especially like when you hear all about these homeless people that are really like just really wounded mentally, right? Have mental health issues and stuff.
Yeah, they've been forgotten, man. Somebody didn't want to put up with that. I feel like maybe.
And not just that, but I feel like I feel like they're even like the homeless people that need like mental health. I guess. What do you call it? Like, yeah, they need help, right? They need help, like talking to a therapist or something, and they just don't have the funds for it, you know, because like everything, all of that, because I feel like a lot of that stuff got cut off away or whatever. Do you know any what would I say, like any resources that you think that like who people who are like not financially stable? Because I feel like going to a therapist, is that expensive? Like going to a family therapist?
It can be. It definitely can be.
It's not for somebody who just living paycheck to paycheck. Like they're not gonna make the budget for that. I mean, I feel like somebody who, because it's like $150, $200 a session or something.
Yeah. So when you go online, you're gonna see a variety of people. You're gonna see those, right, who are charging what they charge because they believe they can, which great for them, right? But there are resources and there are things that you can find if you don't have that type of things, that type of resource to give, right? But there are some. So the Houston Helpline is one. It's just been created maybe I think in the past year or two. But they're a free resource here in Houston that they created where you can either call them if you need therapeutic support. And then if you call them, they can point you in direction to get going. And it is either sliding scale. So that's we're going to charge you what you make. We're not going to, if we're not going to charge you this ridiculous amount, or free in some cases, most cases. University of Houston Clear Lake, we're also
shout out.
We're also giving, if there is a need out there, we're actually very willing to not even charge you, to kind of to get our clinical students out there going, and then two, to also help our community, especially in a time of a pandemic where financial resources aren't really there at this moment.
I feel like that's really important to share because, like Noe said, like it's 150 or whatever. Yeah. A lot of that stuff is kind of like for people who are more financially set, you know. So I feel like it's really important to people like to share that there's stuff like a lot of colleges do a lot of that stuff. Like for example,
Sam Houston had one. They had a counseling center. I remember they did.
And I know they do a lot more stuff, like even like people who are studying to be for the hair, you know, what are those called? Cosmetologists. They do like a free haircut day or something.
Go get the discount.
Yeah, like there's a lot of stuff, and I feel like a lot of that stuff is not promoted to people who are under that don't have money to go get a haircut or don't have money to go see a therapist or stuff. I just feel like
and also just for our listeners, I would suggest asking, if you're employed, of course, if you ask your HR, if they have an EAP program at your organization or where you work at, because some people, you have no idea that you have it. You might have, it's a benefit that you might have, and what that will do is provide you with most likely it should provide you with free mental health. So you should be able to get like some free sessions or so, and then after that it comes at a very discounted price. So. It's just a huge benefit. It's just something it's worth asking, because if you're going through things, mental health or whatever, they're very, very serious things to not take lightly, and it's okay to not feel okay, to just ask, because hopefully that's a research you might have.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. It's okay to not be okay. It's definitely okay. Biggest thing.
Also, Also, I have here on my notes because he was giving us like a little rundown of what he did also as well. So I see something about like helping athletes with clinical stuff.
Yeah, that's probably been the coolest thing that I've done so
Okay,
far.
okay.
What kind of
Let me
athletes?
hear more
Like,
about
are we
that.
talking
NFL.
college athletes or
NFL.
oh, professional?
NFL,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So what were you doing? What were, exactly
Yeah,
were you doing?
so it's Neurocognitive Specialty Group here in Houston. It's here in Clear Lake. It's a group of psychologists who decided to do a private practice. And what they did is now they do neuropsych and cognitive tests for former professional athletes, so those who've been retired, specifically from the NFL. So NFL has a contract with health providers. Any player who has played with us, you are required to do a yearly cognitive testing to see if there's been any decline or regression in your cognitive ability and agility. Yeah. And if there's any decline, you basically get a paycheck off. The NFL will pay for you to get those services and kind of recomp for all that.
So
Okay.
kind of like
Kinda going
a
on.
VA for the NFL kind
Yeah.
of?
Okay.
And so the group has contracted with a variety of psychologists throughout the U.S. So they flew me out to different states to do this testing. And so what I do is,
Nice.
yeah, it's fun. It's cool. But it's a six-hour battery, so it's about 20 tests. And what they do is it's just me testing your cognitive agility and ability, memory, spatial, all those type of things. And it kind of gives you a 360 look at how your brain is doing. So real cool.
So it's like when you post like a picture and it's like, what do you see? No.
Yeah, it really is. It's
Okay.
like kind of what do you see? Show you puzzles. Be like, can you tell me what the pattern is? Give you a story. Ask you it in 5 minutes. Your personality testing and stuff like that. It's really cool.
And you said these are retired players?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're like much older a little bit, or
Probably youngest was that's the crazy part. When we say retired, we think really old, right? There is NFL players who have actually played for maybe 6 months.
oh wow.
And then
And they're considered.
they're yeah.
NFL.
That was crazy.
Have you seen like some crazy like really bad stuff or not, or because
What's
I
bad
feel
for
like
you?
so I'm asking that because like I feel like a lot of parents are just like, oh, I don't want my kids to play not even like pee-wee football because
It's dangerous, bro.
yeah, okay, that's what I'm saying. Like so you don't, I mean, I see the NFL taking some actions, right? Like getting whenever they kick the ball, get them closer so they could just be a touchback, or like no more blindsiding people.
Yeah, that's a
not
big
crazy
one.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
doing a lot more stuff to help the NFL players. But I feel like even back then, like 2001, 2002,
They were going crazy.
they were going crazy.
And
but
the equipment wasn't even as good.
yeah, and like I feel like you saw some NFL players that would go off the rails a couple of times, right? And they didn't know if it was CTE or whatever it was. But I'm like, I guess I'm asking. It was not like 90% of all NFL players were going crazy. I feel like it wasn't that much.
But it's just something that, I mean, the thing is, like, it's still an evolving science because I feel like now it's when the people are paying attention to it.
Yeah, and that's what I was asking her. Like what was one of the was there any like super crazy things that you saw, like that they were just like maybe going crazy or not remembering like what they saw, what they did yesterday or something? I don't know.
So that's funny because people typically in that realm, they know that there's a check at the end.
Yeah.
If I can fake this. I've
Oh,
had
no.
I've
They
had
have a
former
bias,
athletes come in
or-
with sunglasses, so I couldn't see their eyes, so there would be no deception detected. I've seen players fall asleep. But as far as the true ones who actually were trying, there had been times where players would get frustrated because they truly couldn't remember a story I told them 30 minutes ago. They couldn't remember the most important aspects. They couldn't pick up on patterns for certain things.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to possibly do recalling of certain numbers in math. So there is detrimental effects of it, but it's also in what position are you playing? How long are you playing for? What's your genetic disposition and your biological factors? Do you have any health concerns? Are some very big things as parents that I would assess for that.
Yeah, I mean, I've had 3 concussions in my life playing football, man. And even like that remembering all that stuff, that when I really had a really bad concussion my senior year, it's like a real thing. You know, it's the way you feel, the way you perceive light, and just like even yourself.
Was that during a game or
Yeah,
practice?
I got it during the game. Well, I've got one in practice. I got it in a game, and yeah, it's a weird thing. You're out of it, dude. Like it's weird.
And it's crazy how people complain about it. Like the NFL taking precautions towards a better game, you know.
Yeah,
and people are like,
it's not as fun as because in a way, I mean, people my age, we still saw a certain way of football, even as like younger kids making the big hit. Now it's literally illegal to make that big hit. Not illegal like in criminal.
How's college football? You're probably more informed.
I mean the same way. I mean like now, if like, I mean you might not know this, but receiver, you know, quarterback throws the ball, receiver's trying to catch it. If like, you know, a safety comes over the head, comes over top, hits him in the head with a helmet, that safety's now ejected from the game. It could be the first play of the game. Now that's a pretty crazy thing because now these are people who's like somebody can be like playing to go to the NFL or whatever. Now I mean, has it happened where it's like in a national championship game, and then like the best linebacker in the game just trying to hustle, hit somebody head to head, helmet to helmet, and now he's out for the rest of the game. That's how serious they got.
Do you have to hold the ball for like a second or something before you get hit?
No, fuck no. It's just not a helmet hit.
Yeah,
so
I've seen some.
Yeah, they can come and blow you up like with their shoulder pass to your shoulder patch or something. But sometimes, I mean, really, man, especially at the like the highest college level, how fast they're moving. Because you gotta think about it. In NFL, I mean, their guys are super strong, super good. Athletic, of course, but in the college, I feel like what's different about it is that there's so much just like speed. These are just like people from 18 to 22, like are just like moving fast. It's a fast game, and I mean, it just, and also there's such a big gap in like the talent level because you can have guys who are going to go to the NFL and your guys are barely making the team, and then now these guys can be really hurt. I mean, it's just a big thing about it, for sure.
I heard that about Watson. From some of the comments that he's like, you know, he likes to run the ball a lot.
Yeah.
So I saw some of the comments saying he's not going to be able to do that in the NFL because if he gets caught, it ain't like.
I mean, he's taking a lot of hits, man. Deshaun Watson has taken too many hits. Yeah, but hey, we're at a good stop right here for a good little break.
Take a break.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, we'll be back, guys. Welcome back. Part 2 of the show, episode 6. How you doing? Martin, how you doing, Martin?
Oh, I'm doing good, bro. I learned a lot. I feel like just about her being like a family therapist. I find it really interesting because I always like had like those kind of questions that I wanted to ask somebody.
For sure.
I did a photo shoot once for a family therapist person because she needed some photos for her social media. She's gonna start her own business, so
nice.
I went to go take photos of her, did a photo shoot for her, and all that stuff. So, and I wanted to ask her questions, but I was like, nah, I'm just a photographer.
Yeah.
Was she nice?
She's gonna bill you, bro.
Nice?
Yeah. She was super nice.
That's great. I'm
Yeah.
glad.
No, they have to. They have to be nice.
Yeah, and also this was a photo shoot in Kansas City, so I was like really excited that like I got contacted from over there to do a photo shoot. So that was pretty cool.
So did you like go over there and saw your girlfriend?
Yeah, I went to go see my girlfriend, and right there she booked me. She's like, "Oh yeah, I want to do a photo." She's on my work, and I was like, "Okay, cool." So
you acted real exclusive.
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, we're having a family therapist today on the podcast. I get to ask all those questions."
This individual, whatever, is an older man, around his 50s maybe. He was like, "Yeah, when I had kids, my wife knew I was never gonna change a diaper. Like, yeah, I don't do that. Never touched them. She knew that she was going to the store, and the kids needed diaper change. They were just gonna wait until she came back. And in my head, I just sat there. I'm not gonna check this dude right now, you know, whatever. But in my head, I'm like, wow, like you don't have consideration for you, like for your wife or even your kids, because I mean, you don't want your kid to get a diaper rash or get an infection or something, man. So I know that's like the certain thing that to him is not even a big deal. It's like, what's the big deal? It's just but it's like the underlying factor, the principle that you have to, you know, we're all equal. You have to value your woman, and if you do, man, you live a good life. You know,
definitely,
for sure. To all my guy friends.
What is it? Happy wife, happy life?
Yeah, for sure.
And I see the point that you made right there, that there is no point in arguing with somebody that doesn't want to understand.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like I see that with a lot of older people. That's just the way they live their life, the way they were raised. There is no other way to life. And there is no, in a lot of times there's no point in trying to
and there literally
make them understand that basically it was wrong. The way they that man. Oh, I never changed the diaper. That was wrong, dude.
Yeah, man, be there for your kids.
Just because you did it, just because it was done back in the day, it doesn't mean it was right.
Yeah. I mean, he also still said it with like a lot of pride, so it kind of was like, But hey, that was him. That's the way. I mean, they're still married, so something had to work. But I mean, that I just don't think that's cool. You know, that those like applying those type of like roles and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure.
Martin.
Yes.
So Martin, what you got, bro? You've been hella quiet over there,
No,
man.
I'm just thinking like.
Same.
Is that Bucana hitting you or what?
Huh?
Is that Bucana hitting you?
No, I'm good. I didn't put that much on. I just got a little bit of.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Just
So
thinking.
No, I was just thinking like how like our kids look up to you, right, as a dad and as a mom, and I'm wondering now if that's changing as well, as because like whenever you're young, you always look up to your dad, right? Like, oh, my dad. But you really deep down as a guy, you know that your mom's the one that takes care of you, right? And now I'm wondering, like, for kids that are coming up now these days, if that's different. Like, do you feel the same comfort you feel around your mom or around your dad? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think it's something you just said. You might have picked it up because I just thought back of like what you said earlier in the podcast, that what you see as kids from a young age, like they affect you as you're older. And what you just said, right? Like innately, you like, which I do too. I'm agreeing with you. That's how I feel. My mom takes care of me. But I guess it's because we saw that from such a young age that for me, or you as well, like our mom is the one that's supposed to take care of us. So it's now like you were like deep down. That's how I feel. You know, what I'm saying? I was just making that point.
I would agree.
Yeah.
It's really what that person represents. So we've been constructed to understand men as the physical one, men as the rule maker, the one that's going to instill the rules, and be there for us. We've understood women as our mom to be the caretaker. She's going to feed us. She's going to hug us. And I know I can come to her anytime I need her. And that's what we understand their roles to be, right? But there's many, single parents who do both, and their kids come out great. So it's really what that guardian represents and as a person, right? But if we're just talking about, men and a woman household and being a parent, right? I think it is very much, right? Your kids are going to see and attribute what they see as what life should be. So that's why if kids grow up in a very domestic violent type of household, they're going to think, if someone loves me, they're going to argue with me. If someone loves me, they're going to pull me by my hair if I try to leave because they really, really want to be with me.
That's crazy.
And they're going to think that's how love looks like. And I, just growing up in my type of household when I was little, that's what I thought. I thought anger was how you relate to people. Arguing is how you relate to people. If you want people to hear you, you need to get louder. And that's what I thought it was. How many times have you seen arguments escalate? Because that's how they think arguing should be. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
I also really like what the podcast, I forgot who it was, the one I mentioned to you, when he says post-traumatic growth. What's the original one? It's called post-traumatic stress disorder, right? So I think he makes a good point, because I feel like when you go through things at a young age, like as a teenager, like real stuff that literally, like, you look back and you're like, I feel like it molds you, and it's just like a very, like, it's like a tip and spear where it can go either way, and you can choose to be like what you saw and like be aggressive, violent, scream when you argue, or you can make the choice as well. It doesn't happen all the time to everybody, but it's a possibility that you can also make the choice and say, I will promise myself that that's not what I'm going to be, and it's not, I'm not just speaking about my experiences. I met other people through my profession who, like, for example, he said, when I was a kid, my parents, they smoked inside all the time. He was from Wisconsin. He said when I was got to high school and people would tell me I smelled bad because I would smell like smoke, but I didn't think I smelled like anything, So he said I was still, when I got older, I don't want to smell like, like cigarettes. He's like, so I would put my clothes outside and then change outside and go to school, whatever. But he's like, so off that, I never once like smoked a cigarette in my life, But so now he's living a healthier life, right? He's literally living a healthier life, where in a way from that really like something that was probably very stressful for him and things like that, he grew, and something that eventually benefited him, right?
And that's the resilience part, right? That part where we can bounce back from these things. And a portion of us have that, right? But then there's also a portion of us who don't have the resilience. And I don't know if you saw on that Joe Rogan podcast, that psychologist was talking about how when he says mental illness. I don't like the word illness. I say mental injury, because illness.
Mental what?
Mental illness.
No,
right?
when we said what would you like to say?
So mental injuries.
Injuries,
right?
okay.
So mental illness gives this stigma that once you have it, there's no curing. That's complete no. You can through a variety of factors, but it's changeable. You can, right? So I like to say more mental injuries, because it's not it doesn't define you, right? But he was talking about how there's a percentage of the environment, there's a percentage of genetics, there's a percentage of parenting, and then it was like 10% parenting that he said, 40% environment, 30% genetics, and then another percentage he was like, we're not sure. I think parenting makes a much more percentage of that. But anyways, it's this environment part that determines like how much resiliency you have. In your environment is going to be what kind of friends you have, what kind of teachers do you have, the environment your parents set up for you. So what kind of parenting are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying parenting that you're doing, but parenting that you're allowed to do in the environment.
100%.
And but I think that all of those contribute to what your resilience looks like, and that's why someone like you or y'all can bounce back, but someone who is not an immigrant, who hasn't gone through all those things, don't have that resilience because of the environment that they were growing up in.
And for me, the environment, I feel like that's huge. The environment you surround yourself with is very important, and like we've talked before, right, about energy and things like that. It's so important to really protect your energy from bad environments, because it can take it away from you. And a quick thing that because you mentioned teachers, I think that's also a very important thing, especially for young men like in your 20s, to find a mentor. I myself have like 5 mentors in different aspects, from like my personal career to like people who are doing outside things that I want to do when I'm 40, to people who are just like in the education system. Like, it doesn't have to be like they're constantly teaching me something that's gonna like produce me something, but they're gonna make me a better person. And I try to learn, and we try to keep in touch. So I think it's important. I mean, you don't have to have that many, but if you just find like someone good. I mean, one of my mentors is one of my best friends, Carlos. We used to work at Sears together, and the friendship just kind of went from there. And like now, when I look at the dots, looking back, I'm like, I can see how good of an influence he was, having him as a friend. That's why it's so important, right? Because it helped me be resilient. Because he was like the first person, it's so weird now, that I really knew who graduated college. I mean, when I was like 17, I didn't know nobody. That wasn't my environment. And he was the first person, and it kind of motivated me and things like that, and to stay in college. And it's weird how it happened, because we were at Sam, and he worked for Ecolab, and he would go and serve as a cafeteria, like for like their chemicals and things like that. And so we would like run into each other there. I don't know, it was cool, but it was good to just have a mentor. And then I kind of saw the benefit of that. And then when I went to do my other stuff in my profession, I kept it kind of going, just keep in touch with really good people who are doing good things and learn from them.
I think a mentor is good, but sometimes not all of us have that opportunity to find a mentor, and mentor can even be someone your own age. But
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
But some of us don't have that privilege of finding that person when we need them, right? So then it kind of goes to the friends, the people you surround yourself with. That's a very cliche thing to say. But I think it has a lot to do, right? The people you surround yourself with. You want people who are going to see the positive aspects in your experiences, right? We're all going to have negative experiences. We're all going to have depression, some type of it, anxiety. We're going to be scared. We're going to be sad. We're going to be mad. And we're going to be happy. That's all part of healthy mental health.
Yeah.
Right? And so you want people who aren't going to be stuck in the past reminding you of these bad aspects. We want people who are going to be pointing out the positive aspects, and the people who are like-minded with you, who see growth in, even if it's 1%, 0.1%, they're going to be happy for that growth for you. So I think that's a lot of the environment part. And even if you don't have a mentor, to find those people for you, like you said, bad energy, good energy, it's the same kind of thing.
100%. I feel like you make a great point, and I 100% agree with that. But I also it's just me, and I feel like you can still try to find a mentor. I mean, even like if you're on LinkedIn, if you just graduated college, you're on LinkedIn, you see somebody who's doing something great. Some people are just willing to help people. Message somebody, say, hey, I see what you're doing. There's some awesome stuff. I want to be there in 5 years. If you ever have any time, I would love to just talk to you about how you got there. Somebody might reply to you.
And that's true. But that's also one of the privileges that we're kind of blind to end up on LinkedIn.
I mean, no, I feel like I ended up on LinkedIn because I chose to be. I mean, there's people who are process techs on LinkedIn, all different types of industries, chefs, artists, musicians, and it's a free service. It's not like you have to pay for it.
But you got to have internet. You got to have a phone,
and it's really like
access to a computer.
Yeah, well, then that's really blinding to me. And I see it now when you say it, because for me, that's like, okay, I'm going to have that. You know what I'm saying? You get me? So, like, you made a great point right there.
And you were lucky for someone to even expose you to LinkedIn. LinkedIn's been around forever. I barely got on LinkedIn maybe 2017.
I have a LinkedIn, and I don't take it that serious. Like,
and that for you, but a lot of people aren't even on LinkedIn.
Well, for me, I mean, it was just the education from Sam Houston, because it was like one of my classes in sophomore year. It was like, create a LinkedIn, make sure it looks good. It was like a grade, because they know that's like, they're trying to set you up for success, right? Course. So, like, I mean, it was just like, but again, you're right, the exposure to it, right?
And that's your privilege to be at Sam Houston, right? Because that's where I found it too, was when I went to college, when I had these people expose it to me. But how many people who got, in Pasadena or in other cities who don't know the importance of it? Because
but in a way, I mean, at the same time, this is why, me personally, I'm so passionate about this podcast. Because hopefully, like, somebody now listens, and maybe this is the move. You get on. I mean, you never know. You like, I started,
like, for people,
not take it seriously, but now they might know about LinkedIn, and 3 years from now, it's helping them get a great job, and there was the first dot that was connected. Does that make sense? So, I mean, this is really why I'm so passionate about this podcast. Passionate about having somebody like Corissa here as well, who can share all this great knowledge, and for us all doing this great thing, because we're exposing people to great things. And hopefully how many people listen to it? But I mean, if just one person does it, and then 3 down years in the line, they get a great or whatever it is. This is just one example, but it benefits their life. I mean, that's just really why I love doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with that about having a mentor. I don't have any mentors, which is like, I find it really hard to find one for some reason. I don't know why. But I don't take my LinkedIn serious, so it's just sitting there.
And the thing is, I think there's a huge market for, especially for photography and videography on LinkedIn, because bro, like, somebody will pay you $200 just for a headshot. If that's what you brand yourself on LinkedIn, because there's a lot of professionals out there who want to, like, oh, I need to get a headshot. Who can you recommend me? Boom. You know what I'm saying? It's just another revenue, source. The more I'm on LinkedIn, I see how it's becoming like a little bit more social media, because it used to be really professional. 100%. It's getting a little bit more like lax, like like it's now. If I can make an analogy, it used to be like suit and tie, and now it's just suit, no tie. You know what I'm saying? A little bit
maybe
casual.
Bow tie.
But no, yeah, I think it could be a huge opportunity for you, man. For real. Because there's so many jobs on LinkedIn as well, just so you know as well, like, because I see people from the plants and stuff as well, they're on there. But
no, I was gonna say also, like, I was saying, like, the importance of a mentor for, who people don't know the reason why you would even get a mentor, right? So
true.
Like, to getting a mentor, it's basically something that you want to do, and that person's already there where you want to be.
Yeah.
And you get a mentor, so he can, like, maybe teach you what he did, some things that help, give you basically tips. So for anybody that doesn't know what a mentor is supposed to do, right? And but I feel like just having a person to help you out with anything, really, because like I said before, like I'm doing that weight loss thing or whatever with Felipe. Just
in a way, he's kind of like your mentor in that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know
exactly. So having somebody to hold you accountable for even like the slightest
That's
little
what it
thing
is.
is
You
such a huge help. I feel like because you know you could do it yourself.
Yeah.
It's just gonna take like real hard dedication and work. But whenever you have a mentor or a coach, having someone hold you accountable or telling you, hey, did you do this already? And your procrastination that a lot of people have kind of goes out the window because there's somebody there holding you accountable. Hey, you got to get this done by today, or remember that signups for this software engineering program is this day. Are you going to do it? Or, you know, like, they're not your babysitter, but also they're a really good source to help you out.
Oh, yeah. And a mentor is never supposed to be a babysitter, but someone who can definitely give you just like what I see it as a little bit of guidance, which is what Felipe gave you, right? He kind of give you the outline. And at the end of the day, it's still up to the self to execute whatever it is, right? To actually
I really liked what you said, though, about guidance and what you want to do. I think that's the biggest thing, because then it's like, why do you need a mentor for what you want to do, right? You can do a mentor for just life in general, right? But I really like the way when you pointed that out. It's, you know, find someone in your field, no matter what their experience is, if they have a little bit more, like, type tips and advice. Right?
Yeah, and I really came, like, how you were saying, to bring it back to you as well, because you said that that's a privilege about having a mentor, or a privilege about knowing about LinkedIn or all that stuff. And that's why whenever Noe said no, and you were like shaking your head no, like that is a privilege. I feel like it is a privilege because I feel I never even knew what a mentor was, right, until my girlfriend brought it up, because she went to study at UMKC. She studied abroad and all this other stuff, and she had a mentor, and she would tell me, like, sometimes I'm like, hey, I'll be like, what are you doing? You know, whenever you text your girlfriend, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm going to go have brunch right now with my mentor. And I was like, well, I was like,
What's up? Do I need to square up?
No, but
then my cheese stain him came up. Oh.
Is that his name?
No, it was a girl.
No, but like when you thought the mentor was his name or something.
Nah, and I'm not a jealous type. Nah, I'm kidding. But yeah. And I was like, dang, like that person's willing to go have lunch with you? Like, what is she getting out of it, or what the heck, right?
We're so used to people getting
helping
like, when they're getting something out of it.
Exactly. And that's what I was, and that's having that mentality that nobody's gonna do nothing for free for you is like, it opens your mind up as well, because you're taught as well as a kid, like, what you don't get nothing for free. There's nothing for free in this world, right? And asking for help, what are you gonna ask for help for, you know?
No,
and like
helps,
so that opened my mind up.
Asking for help.
Yeah, and that's what opened my mind up to that, with my girlfriend showing me that there are people out there that are willing to help you if you just ask.
Yeah, 100%.
So
that's asking you shall receive. Once someone told me that at work, and I was like, you know, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, crazy thing. Talking about mentor, I just remembered today. I just got like a little thing. So I know my progression path for like my career, and today we had a new guy coming in, and I'm gonna be his mentor. And my boss called me yesterday, and he was like, "Hey man, you know, we're getting his name, whatever. He's starting tomorrow, and like now I'm gonna be coaching him and stuff like that, and sitting down with him like once a week and going over like what he's doing and things. So, because I know what my progression plan is for my career, but you now that you said it, I really think about it, and it is a privilege, because like when I went to go work for my first job, we had a mentor program, you know, as well, and things like that. And I see it more common, but of course it's because I'm inside this little bubble that I got privileged to be in. But the reality is not everyone's like that. Not everyone has those resources.
We're privileged in so many ways that we're just blind to it.
Yeah.
I was listening to this podcast that said it was about COVID and everything, but they were saying if you're listening to this podcast, you're privileged.
100%.
That means you have internet. You have access to either a computer or a phone, and that's way ahead of a lot of other people, man.
A lot of other people.
Yeah, but we're just blind to it since we grew up in having access to all of this technology.
Well, shit, I didn't grow up having internet. Did you grow up having internet?
To like middle school. They had them in schools. So like in middle school, that you had.
Oh, I mean, in schools,
in school,
but
so you
shit, I guess like
exposed
high
to
school, maybe my internet. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm thankful that we always had internet. I mean, my mom always trying to do her best to have us like our internet connection so I can get on LimeWire and download
fuck up the computer.
Get all the viruses.
All the viruses. Yeah.
All the viruses.
Dude, my computer would take like an hour to load up. Yeah, it was so bad, dude.
Ludicrous.
Fucking,
dude, you know what the best? No, I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna tell that story.
I was gonna say. So remember when Hurricane Ike happened? I think.
Yeah.
So we all.
That was like 5th grade.
Yeah. So here. Hurricane Ike happened, and we decided to evacuate. Right, we just left everything there. Someone broke into our house when the thing happened, and they stole our computer. Dude, I was so happy to download shit. It was done. It was done with LimeWire, like with FrostWire. I was like, Mom, so can we get a new computer? I mean, hell yes, yes, they stole that. Dude, I feel so bad for whoever stole that because that thing was not gonna boot up. Bro.
They were gonna come and break your window with it, bro.
Take the computer. God damn. Yeah, dude.
Oh, it's freaking funny, man.
Yeah,
that's
but,
crazy.
You know,
yeah.
Gotta look at the positive side on when things go wrong, right?
No, that is such a huge key, man. That's such a huge key. But Corey, what is as we're wrapping up here, what is like the one message you want to give to people? Do you have something written down or something you want to say?
Closing statements.
Take as long as you want, but anything you would like to really.
And thank you again for coming out here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I felt like at first I was kind of a little scared of what to ask, you know, just because because you do have to take an account that we are being like downloaded and watched and on YouTube or whatever, and everything that we say is gonna like stay in permanent record or whatever. So, but like you're super cool and super nice and just like.
What were you thinking of saying, bro?
Huh? No, I was thinking of saying some crazy. No, I'm kidding. No, but just like I mean, just really how we were saying right now.
You gotta be real careful on social media, whatever you say.
Yeah, it's very.
Because even if she doesn't get offended by what we ask, there's a lot of people out there and that were listening to this.
I totally get y'all.
But again, like I said, thank you for coming out here and just being so nice.
No, thank you for having me. I think y'all are amazing. What y'all are doing is amazing. Any dialogue that opens up any type of thing is growth, is steps towards growth. Even if it's a 1%, 2%, it's better than there was yesterday. 100%. And so that's what I really enjoy about these dialogues is it gets us further toward whatever we should be, right, as a society. No, but I think the last thing I want to do is just give, I guess right now during a pandemic, there's a lot of isolation, a lot of anxiety towards uncertainty of what's going to happen. And I think the biggest thing I want to say is how to improve that during COVID, right? During all of this, as we transition back into work, not from work. Kind of like what I said earlier, focusing on the positive aspects of your support systems. So those people who are there that care for you, lean on them. If you're feeling a type of way, they're there for a reason, and use your resources. That's what's going to help bump you into your resiliency. Practicing gratitude, right? Recognizing and appreciating those things that you do have and bringing it into awareness can change a feeling like that, right? Just thinking, for instance, I got in a fight with my girlfriend, my boyfriend, and he does or she does these things that I hate and la 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 la, right? And it can automatically bring your mood down. But what about when y'all first met? How she looked, how they smelled, right? All of a sudden you're smiling, right? Just bringing into those awareness can change your whole physiological momentum within a second. So continue practicing that. Maintaining physical health, even if it's just walking. They say your stomach is your second brain. You actually have you ever had that gut feeling? And you can literally, like, if you're sad or mad, you're like, I can feel this in my tummy, because you really can. So you actually have nerves up here that connect down to here, and this is your primal reptilian brain. That's the fight or flight responses. And so when you actually feel something, you really do feel it in your stomach. So it's really good to stay physical and physically active, like if you're working out, doing jiu-jitsu, running,
soccer, he plays
soccer, running, right? Yeah. That helps with a lot of that momentum in your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems. Yeah. So keeping yourself calm during your anxiety moments. And developing good coping skills. So whatever coping looks like for you. So something that makes you happy, right? Like doing these podcasts, being with friends and enjoying, that could be a very good coping skill for the week that you've had. Whether it is sitting down with all the lights and music off and laying in your bed. If that makes you happy, do it. Maybe some shopping therapy. Don't go broke now, because then we have another problem. But that could also help you. So I think
100%.
those, and then if you do truly feel, don't be afraid to seek out professional help. There's a big stigma that if you seek out help when you're weak, actually the strongest people show up in the office. And
nice.
so I think those are the biggest things.
It takes a lot to accept it, that. But thank you so much, Corissa. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I think that's yeah. And and whoever you're spending your time with, try to give 5 to 10 minutes of undistracted time with that person. Drop the phones, create a boundary.
I like that.
That is
right?
huge, man.
And create that moment to have 5 to 10 minutes of undistractedness of how was your day.
Yeah.
And some
100%.
people are just so unaware that they're not doing that, You think you are, you get home from work and you think you are giving them that attention, and you're literally like checking your phone. Maybe you got a
Emails,
message or email,
text.
somebody uploaded a new photo or whatever.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah. I started leaving my phone to charge outside my room, just so me and my wife will talk or whatever. Just try to be away from it.
I like that.
I'll be on Amazon or whatever trying to shop.
That's some great. Those are some great closing statements.
Yeah, man. Anything you want to say, Martin?
What a great podcast! But please, Martin, closing statements on you.
Closing statements. Like I said, I feel like that final stuff that she said at the end, it was really powerful, really something that like a lot of people need to hear. And people are unaware of the things that they don't do, thinking that it doesn't make that much of a difference if they do it or not, when really it makes a world of difference.
World of a difference.
World of a difference.
Closing statements. What did you learn?
No, man, I'm just so happy that we got to do this. I feel like we provided so much value, and just hope people just really take this in, because a lot of great things were shared. And the main point, especially with being Mental Health Week and tomorrow's World Mental Health Day. Well, when you hear this on Tuesday, it would have been Saturday, right? October 10th.
October 10th.
It's okay with not being okay, 100%. No matter how big and strong you are, whoever you are, no matter what it is, it's okay to seek for help. And if, that's maybe not an option, of course, but some of the things that Corissa talked about, right, the coping, find things that make you happy or that can bring you that peace. It's very important. So to live a happy life. Yeah.
No, like they said, thank you so much for coming through. I feel like it was a great podcast. And for anyone listening to this, it doesn't matter what you're going through. Push through it. And the best is yet to come, bro. I'm so positive.
Or girl.
For that, yes. I got that dog face added. I don't know, man. That video changed my perspective towards a lot of things. This man's Dave, his car broke down, and he just decided to record a video, and he changed his life, man. And now he's just
this big influence.
It's a big influence.
Positivity.
Because of how fundamentally he viewed
taking his
life.
day from negative to positive. And I think you have mentioned before, you never know how close you are to success.
Yeah, you can be right there.
You just never know.
Just keep pushing forward. And
So true.
Corissa, just say thank you for coming once again. And thank you for making me aware of my privilege as well. I think it was very healthy for me to listen to that. And that's why I think we talked about this off camera, but it's good that we don't just agree with each other all the time. It's healthy to have these healthy debates and different ideas. I think that's a feedback you gave me after listening to the first episode. So awesome. Guys, thank you so much for listening.
Thank
You're still
you.
here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.